Very, very common for this area. We also call it the Charuv family plantation. So everything that comes with Charuv is what you will find in this area. But this is, I think, a wow in front of us or behind me. This is the first time you're seeing a house. So far you stood underneath in caves, and this is your first house. Another wow is to go underneath this house and realize that there's a maze of caves connecting each other. If you want to, we'll do a few minutes to do it on your own, I think, because we're going to guide in another one. But this house survived, and it shows you that the city was like this. It was above ground. It was pretty big. This is the villa. This is one house, one family, and you saw the bathtub, so you know the families here were pretty rich and powerful and strong, mainly from the bathtub. From the bathtub, yes, because bathtub is a very uncommon find for ancient times. A bathtub requires a slave that will pour in the water and put all the soaps and the stuff.
At which period?
Very wealthy idea. There's a bathtub
Even
inside,
before.
one over there. I'll show you another one in another cave we'll go into.
Which period they are asking? Which period of time?
So we're talking about Hellenistic time,
Hellenistic
and for
before.
this very specific house, I can give you a year when it was destroyed. Underneath the rebels of this house, as it was found completely destroyed, I have a problem concentrating when people talk together with me. I don't label it, I don't say ADHD, but you know. So underneath the rebels of the house that was destroyed, it was completely preserved in its destructions. They found a little pot of gold. Seriously, a pot of gold filled with 25. It's the Istanbul Museum, actually. So inside they found 25 tetradrachma.
Tetradrachma.
Yes. You want to come here and I'll stand here so you can see it?
Tetradrachma.
Tetradrachma, it's a specific coin. The advantage of rulers and kings is that everybody wants to be on a coin. It's a part of how advertising yourself. So if you find a coin in Greek or Roman times, it usually has a face or a name of a ruler, which gives you a date. Now this one is very, very specific, and it dates to the year 112, which is very important to us.
BCE.
Yes, we're talking about Hellenistic time, so we're still in BCE. I assume BCE until I say AD for this.
I'm just making
for this
clear.
side.
Yeah.
We're gonna go AD when we go to Bet Gufri.
Yeah,
Here
yeah.
we're BCE. 112 BCE is a very important date because this is when this map changes to
Destruction.
this map. Destruction or built, depends on your perspective of the story, of course. So the Hashmonai rebellion starts from Modi'in, and they start taking over the Judean mountains, the Judean lowlands, finally Jerusalem. It's a war that starts, let's test you guys. What year is the beginning of the Hashmonai rebellion? 167. What time do we take over Jerusalem?
164.
164.
Sorry.
Hanukkah happens for a while, and then we just have a Jewish autonomy over Judea. The last time, 2,000 years ago, a Jewish autonomy, the Hashmonai family inherits the throne from father to son. Each king wants to say, I did something in my days, so they fight another war and take a few more lands. And this is the occupations of different kings of the Hashmonai family. I'm here with, I'm going to translate, sorry, because it's in Hebrew. This scholar over here is John Orkanos, Yochanan Orkanos. He's a very important king. He took over a lot of land, fought a lot of wars, and he's the one to take over all of Adomia.
and Moabian, right?
Yeah, the,
Also the Moabite as well, the Moabite region.
Questionable, maybe him, maybe after him.
he
But for
converted
sure-
them, right?
So this is the story. Converted him, question mark. He took over all of Adomia. We know this from archaeological evidence, like the destruction of this house. We know this from historical evidence. And what happens to Adomia when it's taken over a Hashmonai king. So I sent you a few. Did you
Yeah.
get them?
Yeah.
So this was
Where
considered,
is it?
this is considered Idumea.
Idomia, yeah. Oh, you weren't at the beginning.
Ah, yeah.
This is the capital of Idomia. The Edomites starts from the Edomite mountains, from the Jordanian area over here, and they're pushed inwards by the Nabateans at this point, more and more. This is an empty area after the destruction of the temple, and so the Edomites moved in. Taken over again by the Hashmonite king Yochanan Horkanus, and a question mark on what he did with the people that lived here. We have a few sources. Maccabees, I sent you the reference.
No,
What's that?
circumcisions.
Mostly talk about conversion.
Circumcision masses.
To show you.
Circumcisions masses.
Right.
I'm missing a page.
Way to cut off one end or the other. You choose.
What's that? Oh, there it is. Does someone have the references I sent you? I don't have this one. For some reason, it's the only one I'm missing. I'm sorry. I know they tell you not to read from your phone, but that's read from your phone. I used to carry the Bible on my back. I don't do that anymore. Who's
The maps and everything. Nobody.
okay?
Can you read this for her? I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, she had it already.
We have 3 sources talking about what happened over here. And this one is with big letters just for me because I'm so for the Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, he says, does anyone want to read? Because it's English and maybe you can read faster than me.
The glasses.
I can read. Hyrcanus too.
We need American.
No, I need Wi-Fi glasses.
I'll do it.
Okay. Hyrcanus took also
Welcome to
Dora
YouTube.
and Marissa, cities of Idumea, and subdued all the Idumeans and permitted them to stay in that country if they would circumcise their genitals and make use of the laws of the Jews. And they were so desirous of living in the country of their forefathers that they submitted to the use of circumcision and the rest of the Jewish ways of living. At which time, therefore, this befell them, that they were hereafter no other than Jews, no other Jews.
No other than Jews, meaning they were Jews.
They were Jews.
It's a fancy way of saying it.
This is Josephus
They were
Flavius
Jews,
telling
only
us
Jews.
that the Hashmonite king says something like to all the Idumeans, Phoenicians, and Greeks that are here, if you agree to do a circumcision, and we're talking about adults at this point, not 8 days
Painful.
babies, and allow yourself to be Jewish, meaning take over all the ways of the Jews, then you can stay here. That's one version. Second one, did you see the other? You want to read it?
No, I don't have glasses.
The other one is from the geography book by Strabo. If we date them, by the way, Josephus Flavius is...
The 1st century BC? Yeah.
And Strabo?
Who's Strabo? I don't know.
Just a little bit after, a few years.
I never heard about him actually.
Neither
Strabo.
of them was here. That's my point.
no one
So it's not a first-hand testimony. The western extremities of Judea towards Thesius are occupied by Idumeans, and by the Lake Serbonians, the Idumeans are Nabateans. So he's a little bit confused already at this point. When driven from their country by Sidonians, they passed over to the Jews and adopted their costumes. What do you get from this? Sounds like a conversion?
It's,
Yeah,
that's
it sounds
it.
like
They had the choice.
someone
They
who
had the
doesn't
choice.
understand Judaism explaining a conversion.
Yes, but it sounds like they said, like, yeah, we can adopt this. So we have at least 3 historical, not accurate versions of the story of what happened of them here. 2 of them say the Idumeans were already so similar to the Jews, they agreed to be Jewish. And one says it was forced. It was do this or leave this place. What do we gather from archaeological evidence? 2 interesting archaeological evidence. One is this house over here. You said coins. And you saw this house destroyed, which means that at some point at 112, someone destroyed this house. So I'm guessing the family that lived here, they said,
No.
well, we're not interested. When you bury your treasure, not take it with you, but bury it under your house, what are your thoughts?
You're coming back to it.
Yeah, oh, okay.
pick it
this
up,
is a
yes.
ruler. He's got a little bit of, he's a Shugana, he's Majnun, but, we'll come back one day and dig up our stuff back. We'll pass this as well, we know this very well. So they assume and they run away and their house is destroyed. So maybe this is evidence that yes, there was something forced, there was a bit of a war. If you ask Ian from Dig for a Day, they found over almost close to 100 very interesting statues in the debris of people's houses. They found circumcised phallus statues. exactly what you heard.
Hmm.
What does it mean?
Which means they're converted, but still practicing their.
Be an archaeologist, ask me the right question.
What does that mean?
In order to say what it means, you need to ask me what is the date of these statues,
What's the date?
previous 112. If you go to Arava, to Mitzad Tamar, you will also find something very similar, which means that the Edomites probably had a similar tradition, and maybe their circumcision was not at the age of 8 days, but also later, which was a part of this ritual, and the statue was a part of it. To say that we have an absolute answer, no, and the truth I find is always in between. There was a war. There was a forced occupation of this area by a Hashmonite king. There was something historical that caused Josephus Flavius to write this. People ran away, people didn't survive this war, but also the Edomites were probably the most to stay here because they were closest to the Jews in their traditions from before. So the truth is in
And
between.
Herod comes out of the Edomites.
All right, so to connect Herod to the story, who are Herod's parents? His ancestors?
His mother.
His mother was?
Nabateans, and his father is Edomians.
His grandfather is Adominian.
Okay.
If we're talking about time-wise, his mother was Nabatean. His grandmother Nabatean. His grandfather Adominian. It works well because the Idominians and Nabatean live in the same area and work together and commerce together. And the story is this: probably the grandfather of Herod was forced to become Jewish in 112 in the days of John Arcanus. Now, if he's Jewish,
Not Alexander.
the son will also be Jewish. What's that?
There is another name figure called Alexander something. Yanai. Alexander.
Alexander Yanai.
Right?
Different time period. Is it nicer under the? Different time periods, but the answer is this: the grandfather and also the father of Herod were Jewish. Now, does this make Herod Jewish?
At that point in time.
One of the answers people say is, no, it's your mom. This is more modern. The mom has to be Jewish. At that point in time, your dad being Jewish means you're Jewish too. Was Herod practicing his Judaism? Was he loving his Judaism? It's a big question. I know.
سلام عليك. غلبك بالسكر ورجعني لهذا بحياتك. عشان شتو. معلش حقك علينا. نظبطك بالفيديوهات.
Roman times more because of